everybody, it's Doc from Doc's Boneyard with another exciting episode. That's right. This week I have a special guest, a guy whose shell is a little bit cracked. He's Chef Egg from Baltimore, ND, and I got a chance to attend one of his cooking seminars with the Wounded Warrior Project. How's it going, Chef?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
Man, I'm not going to complain. I'm so happy I could shit out nickels. You know what I mean?
I'm with it.
Listen, I was going over your bio on your website, and is there anything that people don't know about you, that any little secret squirrel tidbit of foodery, so to speak?
No, I just want people to know that I love cooking and I love to teach people how to gain professional culinary skills to lead a healthy lifestyle. It's something I started 20 years ago, and here I am, 42 years old, still rocking and rolling. I'm really, happy and blessed to be able to do it.
So you're basically 21 times 2 then.
You got it.
If my math is correct. All right. So what is it about food? I mean, most of us see food as a meal and not much more than that. I mean, it's now for the artistic side, like myself, I mean, I love watching people cook, but I would rather eat it. But the preparation, I like to watch the culmination of flavors and textures and all that. What is it that resonated with you to begin with?
I like to eat as well. I like to eat very much. I like to eat a lot. So that was the first thing that made me want to go into this venture. But I think when you're a young person, I started cooking when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. Hospitality kind of called for me. And I think more than just cooking, and that's a craft in its own thing. But I think to be of service is very important to me, and providing people with hospitality as well. And it's not something people talk about a lot. But I loved, I worked in restaurants when I was 14. I loved clearing the table for people, and I loved having them come in for a great experience, and receive, exceeding those kind of expectations. It makes me feel good to do that. So past the food, past all the fun, you've been to my programs a couple
yeah.
And, we have an absolute blast, but it's, the food is second nature. It's the skills we can impart. It's the fun we can have together. When people, and you saw it, when people are on the bus and they show up to the event, they're like, what's going on here? What are we going to do? This is another guy who thinks he knows everything. He's going to tell us what to do.
Right.
But it's not like that. When people leave the program, they are so happy, the smiles on their faces, their belly's full. I don't try to put on airs. I don't try to make myself seem like a know-it-all. We are learning together, especially when we do Wounded Warrior stuff.
Right.
Every single warrior has their own story. They have their own experiences, and they're struggling with vastly different things. Whether it's PTSD, whether it's traumatic brain injury, whether it's amputation, or everything in between. People want to be cared for on their terms. They want really good information that's going to translate back to, cooking at home. We've had some folks that have gone on to professional careers from just from seeing me at Wounded Warrior Project and the stuff we do at Walter Reed. They're like, I want to do this as a profession.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
Yeah. So the food is awesome, but it really is second nature, or it comes second to what we try to offer everybody. And then I think at your program, we did a common program I do is tacos. And everybody loves tacos, but tacos have such, I have great technique I can teach you through teaching you how to make some tacos, chicken tacos, fresh guacamole, salsa. We can teach knife skills. We can teach searing, sauteing, and we can translate those skills to 1,000 different recipes. But how to sear a piece of chicken to where it's juicy, moist, where it tastes good, where it's healthy, where you can pack it up the next day and it's still going to be good. And it doesn't matter if you're, recuperating at the hospital and you don't like the food they provide, or, you're at home and you're a retired service member and you're cooking for the grandkids again or something like that. So it's wide range of people that we work with. I think people get a lot out of it. But I leave at the end of the day knowing that we made personal connection, through that food. We were able to have a once in a lifetime experience.
And that's what I think is so cool about it, because we did what, maybe 3-4 hours
Yeah,
at the Blue Moon. What was it, the Blue Moon Cafe in Baltimore?
you got it.
And just the ambiance of the venue itself. I mean, the place was cool, man, but just the atmosphere and the camaraderie and the togetherness, I think I mean, the menu, you blew us away with the jasmine rice and the chicken dish, man. That was awesome. But it just, the amount of effort that you put into it and the amount of personal connection that you put out makes it, I think, worth it.
Yeah. So, you know, we all have jobs and we all get feedback, and
Right.
you can go home and rest your head, either knowing you did a good job, you did everything you could possibly do that day. And some days, I'll be frank, some days I do jobs, they write me a big check, and you get home and you're like,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
you'll put the check in the bank. Don't
Oh
get me
yeah.
wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But your soul is not fulfilled, and we're doing stuff. I've been working with military folks since 2008, and every single time I leave one of those, my heart's paid in full, and you're able to spread that forward, and I've been doing this for 20 years now, and that's ultimately what I'm looking for. I mean, everybody'd love fame and big checks and all that cool stuff, but absolutely nothing beats working with your community. I haven't experienced something that beats that yet.
Well, we're a tough crowd, man.
You're a very tough crowd.
To win us over, it takes a master of BSery, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my physical stature, I'm a small dude. I'm 5'3". People walk in, they're like, who is this dude? Why is his name Egg? And what the hell is going on here? And I'm not saying I got that from you, but I get it from, I'm going to go with 75% of the people that walk through the door. They have no clue. And the Blue Moon Cafe, if you all don't know, is in Federal Hill and Fells Point in Baltimore City. I met Sarah Symington, who is the owner, on a trip out to Egypt. We cooked for service members in Egypt, in the
Get out of here.
in Cairo. We did a whole tour with Navy Entertainment. When she came back, she said, "My restaurants are yours. If you're doing events for the Wounded Warrior Project or any of these military guys, my door is wide open." She gave me the key.
Oh,
And we've been tight friends for 12 years now since that tour. And she's the one that makes that place look so cool. That is her aesthetic. That is her style. But she's the same way I am. She opened the door, she opens her heart. And I know she gets, life affirming positivity
right.
from that as well. What was your question? I think we went.
Well, I was going to ask you how you got involved with veterans and the Wounded Warrior Project, because I was stationed at Walter Reed during the start of the Gulf War, and I didn't even know it was still around, to tell you the truth. I thought they closed it.
Well, so my history, I used to work for Whole Foods Market, and we were in Silver Spring, which is on Georgia Avenue,
right,
1 mile north of the old Walter Reed.
Right. That's where I was at.
Yeah, and that was people were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan in rough shape. And I told my marketing manager, we were doing community outreach in the area, schools, firehouses, downtown Silver Spring.
Right.
And I said, let's go to Walter Reed. We got a little food budget. We got to budget some of my time. We could spend a half a day down there. And one of the managers I was working with was like, I got somebody on the line in occupational therapy. They want you down there. So we went down there. Cool. It was incredible. And my friends Tiffany and Nikki, who were in charge, they were head of the occupational therapy ward.
Right.
I'm still working with these people 12 years later. They're in different places. They're at one's in North Carolina, one's in Seattle. But we're still doing stuff. We're doing stuff with Raleigh-Durham, VA. We're doing stuff all over the place now. But we started doing it there. And then through a connection We got a connection at Wounded Warrior Project, and we started doing stuff in Annapolis, Maryland, and then we started doing stuff in Baltimore and DC. And that started in about 2009, I think.
Oh, wow.
And we did a really great program with them. And through that, I've had the opportunity, like I said, I've traveled the world doing this. Navy Entertainment. We went to the last one I did was about 6 years ago. These were really intensive tours. The first one I did was the Egypt, Cairo, the Mahdi, and we did another super secret spot in the Sinai Peninsula. Very interesting, very interesting. And then we went. What was the last one that I did? We went to Djibouti, Africa.
Oh, wow.
And we went to Bahrain, the Navy base out there. And we were cooking for the soldiers, just doing big, huge meals, feeding 1,000 people. And it was me and several other chefs doing that. And there's a group of chefs that go out, and we're touring pre-COVID with Navy Entertainment. Really nice guys and women as well. So that's kind of where I am now. And today I'm back at Walter Reed after COVID, and we're at Walter Reed Navy Bethesda Medical.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm back just doing that. And we're doing these Wounded Warrior Project, maybe 3-4 times a year we're doing programming with them. And then, whoever reaches out, I've got the Armed Forces Charitable Trust down in North Carolina, Fort Bragg.
Cool. That is, I am in Fayetteville, as a matter of fact. That's where I live, and that's where my studio's at.
Yeah. So we, they call me down for some stuff, and we were doing stuff with the Navy SEALs. But I don't want to say things have calmed down, but things have calmed down drastically since when we started this.
Right, right.
It's a different landscape as far as military groups go. So as that happens, you're not seeing too much of the TBIs and the amputees. There is not a lot of that action going on, but we are seeing a lot of PTSD. We are seeing a lot of mental and physical states 10 years later.
Exactly.
And when we're at Walter Reed, it's really about, sometimes it's about doing adaptive cooking.
Right.
I had a gentleman at the old Walter Reed. He came in with a 10-inch chef's knife attached to his amputated arm. And he had a company that sent him a chef's knife that attached, and he was the happiest ex-Marine I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that is cool, man.
He had a knife arm, and he was ready to rock. We have a lot of people that don't want to get out of bed at Walter Reed.
Right.
They're going through it mentally and physically, and they don't want to get out of bed, and they're forced to be in occupational therapy, and they smell something good coming from the kitchen area.
And they're like, wait a minute.
And they're like, I'll go in there. And the people go in there. So we've had so many folks, they don't want to get out of bed. They will get out of bed for me. And then further, we talk about resilience and people coming back, and 10 years later, husbands and wives and partners and caregivers, we try to support the caregivers as well. The Armed Forces Charitable Trust that we work with, they do resilience programming.
Right.
And through Fort Bragg. And it's so cool because not just me, I'm teaching healthy eating, professional cooking skills, but they got stuff for the kids. They have people for the to talk about financials, to talk about not couples counseling, but
right.
Way to get back with your wife or your husband or your partner. So really a very well-rounded program. So I'm into all kind of cool stuff, and it makes me happy to do it. I absolutely love it.
That is, what? Well, I got to admit, when I first walked in there into Blue Moon, I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Another cooking thing. But I freaking really enjoyed it, man. And it wasn't just the food was killer, but it was just the atmosphere. And if you could just bottle that and sell that, man, I can't imagine what is it. What is the biggest thing that you get out of it? Personally.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I kind of highlighted it, but none of this, all the fancy stuff in the world doesn't get to me. So nice cars, big houses, all that stuff. You find out at a certain age that just costs money, and it costs more money to upkeep it.
Right.
I'm a musician in my past life. Playing a song for somebody can make them have a great emotional release, can make them feel happy, it can feel sad, but it's a release. Food's the same exact way. And then to take that one step further, I'm on a stage teaching people how to make great food, and we're having that emotional release for the participants as well. And sometimes, the crowd I'm talking about. Emotional release is not an easy thing to come by sometimes.
No, emotions are not big in our lexicon of vocabulary there.
Yeah. And look, I completely understand. I mean, you guys are trained individuals to get emotions out of your brain and to accomplish a task, an important task.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to be able to, to put a smile on somebody's faces, whether it's through song, or whether it's through food, or whether it's through some awesome skills that they learned, I say to tell people, I'm going to give you the skills you need to give yourself, basically culinary freedom. We want to release you from that fast food prison. People feel that they're stuck in a rut. If I could teach you how to use a knife and how to sear a nice steak and make a little chimichurri sauce and some potatoes on it, like, look at that smile on your face. I didn't even give it to you. I just told you about it, and you're already smiling.
You're making my stomach growl.
Yeah. And I get that a lot. You're like, man, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
That's what it's about right there. That's what you can sleep on. I don't know. You can pay the bills with it too, but you can go to sleep, rest assured that you made somebody happy that day.
One of the reasons I do this podcast is to get our issues out there, and to have someone like you who volunteers their time and is willing to step into our arena and try to get an inkling of what it's like for us to be who we are and why we are. It's amazing. And I wish more people would do that. Truthfully, more people that have talents to expose us, to get us out of our shell, man, because we're people too. I hate to admit it, but vets are people too.
Yes.
At the end of the day, we all laugh and cry and bleed when we're cut and all that. And we're really no different than anybody else. We just have that stigma attached to us because we were in the military.
Yeah. And, my dad is a Vietnam vet. He's, 74 years old right now, and he's still dealing with stuff from that time. And they were not given, he's just getting involved with, veterans affairs and talking to shrinks. I mean, it's 50 years later. It's a long 50 years later. And he's just starting to do these things. And you're like, I understand more about my dad, being a dad now, but I mean,
right.
And knowing folks like you all, and knowing my friends that have been overseas as well, I've got more understanding for my father and the people that I work with. The people that are hurting need this the most, in my opinion.
Well, it's funny. I also do I have an internet radio station where I do a live rock and roll broadcast, or just music broadcast 3 nights a week. And the focus is on mental health. There's always some mental health component to it, whether or not I give out the crisis line number, just spend a few minutes talking, about mental health issues or something to that effect. What can you do that you're not already doing to further that cause for mental health, as far as your shows and all that?
Sure. So I think a big thing, we talk about being able to eat healthy.
Right.
Number one, if you're eating a healthier diet, your brain's going to feel better. That's a proven thing. Medical science is a great thing. If you eat your fruits and vegetables and your lean proteins and your grains, you're going to feel better than if you eat McDonald's every day. Or if you eat out every day, or all of those things. I think the simple act of cooking, of researching a recipe, looking at 5 or 6 recipes, seeing what's good, seeing what's bad, reading the comments, making your own recipe. I think shopping for the food. I think budgeting your money. I think learning about cultures worldwide. A lot of military has been all over the world.
Yeah.
and you have a great grasp of international life, whereas a lot of people in the States do not.
No,
Some
they don't.
people,
They know what they see on TV.
yeah,
That's
they know
about
what
it.
you see on TV, but
Yeah.
you guys, you people have been there. Is it, I got friends that were in Japan. They're like, man, I miss that. I miss that Japanese food. People that were in the Middle East are like, oh, I wish I could get a shawarma just like I did.
Oh yeah.
Um, you know, so what I wish I could do more is just more of what I'm doing. I tell my wife, I'm just like bigger crowds, more people, more opportunities. I mean, if you or anybody listening to this has opportunities, send them my way. You know what I mean? It's egg@chefegg.com, because I love it. It's in my blood. My dad looked at me and my brother when we were younger. He said, "You are not meant for the military." And given that, we were, dope smoking hippies when we were in high school and college and stuff like that. And he said, it's not for you. And from my experience, I'm not sending you that way. Some families do send
Right.
their kids. Some people do that. My dad's like, nah, it's not happening for you. He just didn't have a great experience at that time. Um, he's really, really proud that I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Nothing but pride from my parents about, especially, they're always like, you're going where? You're doing what? You were doing what with the name? What? They're just amazed at it. But like I said, just like more. I'm always like, I am begging the people at Walter Reed, like, who else can we send this to? When I work with these different organizations, who else, wants this? Because it matters. It's needed. It's definitely needed as we
Right.
say.
Right.
I can pile up the testimonials and you still get, you get a lot of, no calls back. You get a lot of this. Maybe we'll do something. People don't understand the project, and you get a lot of naysayers. But I'm looking for people that are like, I'm looking for not yes people that they just say yes, but the kind of folks, they're like, that's a great idea. Let's get this done. Yes.
Yeah. The good idea fairy runs rampant. I'm
Yes.
more of a, let's shut your mouth and get it done kind of guy.
Yeah. Instead of
And
bringing up things that, oh, well, this might happen, and none of that's going to happen.
yeah.
We have 1,000 of these. I've taught thousands of folks. We did this all over the world. Nothing crazy goes down.
Right.
So
Let's make it happen.
yeah. As you were saying, just more opportunity. That's all I can say. Like I'm 40. I expect to do this until I'm 80.
God willing, man. One of the reasons I started this podcast was not only for my personal recovery from PTSD, but to get the word out of, what's out there. And this series goes to 257 cities worldwide, and I think it's 40 countries around the globe. So, and I ask nothing for it. I get nothing for it. It's just, me offering my time and putting stuff together. If there's anything that I can do professionally or personally to help you further your cause and get the word out, man, let me know.
Just tell the people, let them know what I do. Getting back to your previous question, because it just popped in my brain. Sometimes
Sure.
I go on tangents.
It's all right.
When people are making delicious food, and sometimes it can take a day to make, they got something to look forward to.
Right. Right.
They have something that they can show growth with. I made a steak last week and it sucked. We're going to make that steak again this week and we're going to make it good. We're going to make it better. And I think that's very, very important. And especially in a place where people, I don't want to call it mental illness, where people are suicidal, where people they don't want to be around here anymore. Things are really, really bad. Food is one of those things that can get through, it can get through. And if to have something to look forward to, whether you're going to see me or you're going to make a recipe or you're going to try something new, I think it's one of those things that it can break through these issues that people have.
Well, food is just a small component of the bigger picture. If you think about it, there's lots of life lessons that could be learned in just simply preparing a meal.
Absolutely.
You know,
we talk about at Walter Reed. We're talking about people don't know how to sequence events in
Right.
making something. They have brain issues that where sequencing is an issue. So we make a timeline. We do step by step. They can't see making a whole meal in 2 hours. It's too much.
Right.
But
Sensory overload.
They can see chopping an onion, using adaptive methods.
Right.
They can see that. They can do that. Great. We did that. We're going to chop carrots next. All we got to do is chop celery after that. Now, all we got to do next is saute that in some oil, throw a chicken in the pot, cover it with some water. We're going to have chicken soup, just like mom made. And that's it right there. It's one step at a time, one day at a time, just one little thing at a time to get you moving forward and hopefully put a smile on your face. We want people to make healthy food so their brain's empowered, so their bodies are healthy as well. And all of this goes to, mental and physical wellness and well-being.
Yeah. There's no doubt. And as I was listening to you, go through, some of the steps in helping TBI patients prepare a meal, it's also about goal setting, not being task focused per se, but get the bigger picture. Take a bite of what you can handle at that moment. You don't have to eat the whole hamburger in one bite.
You got it.
It's simplistically complicated as you want to make it.
I totally understand that.
That's who we are.
The kitchen is simplistically complicated. And it's funny, Dad said I was not meant for the military, but something in me came to the kitchen. And the kitchen and the military have a lot in common. There is a hierarchy. There are skills that need to be learned. It's dangerous. You're not always with the happiest of well-adjusted of folks. But everybody has to get together to work as a team to accomplish a mission. And that is the exact same as the military right there.
Yes, it's pretty much. It's funny. I was at Fort Jackson back in the early or late 80s, and we were on a field training exercise, and it was cold and nasty. And they set up a mobile kitchen. The cooks came out into the field, set up a mobile kitchen, and we had the best damn meal. God, what was it? It was spare ribs, a salad, and something else, man.
And it kept you moving, right?
Yes, yeah, and it was amazing because we were all tired and cold and hungry, just didn't feel like playing anymore. And that one simple meal was like, wow, this is cool, man.
Well, and the meal brings people together.
Yes.
And a team is only as strong as the weakest link.
Unfortunately.
And that weak link can mess everything up. But bringing people together over a meal, get you back into focus. You're focused on nourishing your body and nourishing your mind at that time. And even just the camaraderie of eating together at a table is also very, very important.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was a latchkey kid from the 70s, and the family unit per se has fallen to the wayside. There is no family cohesion anymore where you sit down at even if it's one meal a day, dinner, breakfast, lunch, whatever. There's no that family cohesion isn't there anymore. And I think that's one of our biggest problems. I think as a society, that's one of the things that we miss the most is time to eat.
And I got two kids at home. Yesterday, everybody was at the YMCA doing the gym and swimming class, and it's hard. Even if you do have a family, if you have a full family at home, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the family looks like or who comprises the family.
Right.
But you got some adults and some kids and some grandparents and some aunts and some family members and some. I don't care who it is. Getting your unit, your family unit, whatever they happen to be, at the table just to sit together, I think is important. And in the morning, we're just yelling at each other to get out of the door. And at night, sometimes we can't pull it off. Tonight we'll sit down as the family. It's important in my house to do that.
Right.
We have that ability. Tomorrow, tomorrow night I'll be working. The kids will be off on Friday doing something. So a couple of days out of the week, if you can pull that off, is really important. But it just doesn't have to be the family. Sometimes family is who's around.
Right. Family, it doesn't necessarily mean blood relatives. It's,
Absolutely.
whoever's
And
in your inner circle.
whoever's in your inner circle, it could be like neighbors coming over. We love to have we moved to this new neighborhood about 3 years ago. We love having neighbors over. We love doing that. And I think getting back to mental health and well-being, enjoying that meal, preparing that meal, not just by yourself, but maybe with some new folks. I work in a catering kitchen in Baltimore City, and I work with a chef. He's a really nice dude. And it's just nice to cook with other people. And this guy knows, he doesn't know how to be a chef egg, but he knows how to make some amazing food. He comes from a different style of cooking than I came from. So I'm learning all this classic stuff. He knows about the new gastronomy. He doesn't know how to teach vets how to cook, but he knows all this other stuff.
Right, right.
But just to cook with this guy, and he's creating a family in his kitchen, whoever's there, the dishwasher, the porter, what have you. Everybody comes around and tastes the sauce. Everybody comes around and looks at the technique for 2 seconds. He's paying us to do that and to be there and to create that family atmosphere, and to learn from each other. So eating as a family is important. Cooking as a family is important. And planning, just household planning as a family is important as well.
That is so cool. My wife is a huge foodie, and she binges on Food Network. And I got to admit, I sit and watch a lot of that stuff. Just the technical aspect of preparing food, the different cuts, the different, what have you. It's not just throwing a meal together. I mean, there's a lot of technical issues that have to go into that. Mm-hmm.
What I think is cool, and yes, why do I do this? It's because I'm kind of good at it. And if you find something, I'm so bad at so many things. Like I'm just as awful, like at sports, just like awful at stuff. And when
you could be a tackle dummy. I mean,
I could be a tackle
boy. Yeah, sell yourself short.
But when you find something, I'm good at cooking. I'm good at playing rock and roll drums. And that's what I want to do. I'm good at some other things as well, but I'm good at these things and I only want to get better. And we want people, I don't care if you don't like cooking, it's cool. You run through my program and you don't want to do it ever again. It's all good. But I am going to ask you to find the thing that you do like and put some time into it and teach other people about it and get better at it. Whether it's cooking or I got a buddy he's making a car. He's putting together his own Camaro. Cool. If you're into playing pool, if you're into swimming, I don't care what it is. Get better at it. Teach. What is reach one, teach one is the saying.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is how you will grow as an artist, a mechanic, a radio host, anything. So I asked people, this is just an example of what I do to get the demons out of my brain. You know what I mean? And this is what you're doing to keep them out of your brain. Enjoy what I do. I'm enjoying what you do. And then, we're always learning. I mean, people are just telling us life experiences at these events, all kinds of life experiences we never even asked for. But I'd say the camaraderie that as well, you guys are just with these folks for the weekend.
Yeah.
So, you create bonds. I mean, I'm sure you keep up with all kinds of cats from the, I'm sure you've been to many of these events as well. The Wounded Warrior Project does a great job at these. But you keep up with these people and you have really great relationships and you get to do really cool stuff as well.
Well, it's funny. One of the first events that my wife and I ever got to do together, we went to the CIA Institute in what is it?
It's in New York, Hyde Park, New York.
Yeah. And we did like a 4 or 5 day cooking thing.
Yeah.
extravaganza, I guess it was. And
Oh
man,
yeah.
the food was incredible. You
Yeah.
know, stuff that I would never order off a menu. You know,
Yep.
I didn't even know that you could put this and that together, and and the technique. And it was an amazing experience. Now I I'm not I'm a foodie per se, but I'm kind of like on the lower end of the scale.
I understand. I got you.
I'd rather eat than watch. But just the work that went into preparation for every meal, it was just
Mhm.
incredible. And people don't realize that they just shovel food in their mouth.
You
And I'm
know,
guilty of that.
no, look, I'm
Guilty as
guilty of it
charged.
as well. And there's I'll give you an example. You can practice your viola, violin for 25 years and be in the Philharmonic and be able to play Bach and Mozart and all that stuff. And it takes extreme skill and dedication. And you can do that. And, they can't keep Philharmonics open because nobody wants to pay for that.
Right.
You can go to these fancy experiences in these restaurants. There's a small part of the community that wants that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to keep those restaurants open because the labor and the food costs are so high.
Right.
Or, you can open up, you just said ribs. I'll give you, those ribs were life affirming to you.
Oh man.
And it takes practice. It takes dedication.
30 some years later, I can still taste them.
Yeah, you
It's
can still
crazy.
taste them. So, a great hamburger, you know, uh, it's easy. It costs less labor and time to make a great hamburger. You
Right.
need to know what you're doing, though. My point is, you can either listen to classical music or you can listen to rock music. And a majority of the world loves rock and roll music. You put on the Rolling Stones and people are going to start dancing.
Oh yeah.
And that's just it. If you can play Mozart, a couple people are going to go like this, but that's that. And food's the exact same way. A great burger compared to like extremely gourmet food that might not hit the spot for a wide range of people.
Right.
I really try to kind of go right in the middle of that. I want, yeah, I want like when Mick and Keith play in front of the Philharmonic. Make sense?
Oh yeah.
Uh, and,
Absolutely.
and that's my goal. I want that sweet spot right in the middle, and I think I found it through the Chef Egg Live interactive cooking events.
Well, as far as your interaction with Wounded Warrior and your going over to Walter Reed, is there? I know there's always standout memories, things that you take home, but is there a particular dish or set of menus that really resonated with the vets there, or was it just?
No, and I hate to say that. It's, we make a great meal, we feed everybody on the floor, but it's not about the food that they remember. They remember the food was good.
Right.
Nobody says, "Oh, we got to make this again," because they know there's another menu next month or the month after that. It's about the experience. It's not always about that food. If the food wasn't good, we'd hear it. If the food wasn't good, the experience wouldn't be memorable. But I
Right.
can't. I literally can't pick out. Maybe I can one. We did at Walter Reed. They have a USO building in Bethesda, and they have got these big grills outside. So we were doing making Neapolitan style pizza on the grills.
Oh wow.
And the people were like, I didn't know you could put a pizza stone on a grill,
Yeah.
get it up to 700 degrees, and make pizza on a grill. So I thought that people really were their minds were blown on that one. And come spring, we'll try to bring that program back out. But I think that's one program that they were like, yeah.
That is, you know what? Hey, that it works. And that's freaking awesome, man. That's
Mm-hmm.
freaking awesome. As far as some of the vet stories, and I don't want you to go into any details, but there's some individuals that you've met that you've taken with you, and do you keep in touch with those at all?
Yeah. There is one gentleman. His daughter was a baby, and this was in 2008 or 2009. We did the first program with my friend. He's down in Annapolis now, and I still keep in touch with him. It's 15 years later.
That's
Uh,
cool.
and he's gonna have a teenage kid at some point, and that's just crazy. Because they were babies when we started.
Yeah.
The people at Walter Reed, like I said, I started with these people in 2008, and we're doing the Raleigh Durham VA next week for them, doing some virtual cooking classes for them. So all the people, the occupational therapists, I've stayed in touch with every single one of them. All the Wounded Warrior folks, I keep in touch with those people. But the one gentleman and his wife, I still stay in touch with. It's been, it'll be 14 years, I think.
That is cool.
Yeah, and everybody's cool. Everybody's nice.
It's all about connections, and you would be surprised at how one meeting could change your life. Like, I'll give you an example. I was at Camp Southern Ground. I think it was about 2 years ago. I think it was in March of 2001, and I kept hearing, "Doc, you got a radio voice. Doc, you got a broadcaster's voice." I'm like, "Yeah." After a week, I just got tired of hearing it, and then I started thinking, "Okay, I'll start a podcast." No freaking idea how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounded cool at the time. Researched it, and and got into it. The guy, Mark Clifford, and I, who was the one who kept saying, "Doc, you got a radio
Mm-hmm.
voice." We actually have a second show called Heroes for Hope, where we talk about thriving beyond trauma.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for Mark, I would have never got started in this.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have amazing connections I've made. People say, "How do you get all these opportunities?" I was like, "You got to ask for them." I tell people my ideas. Sometimes it goes nowhere. Sometimes people go, "Yeah, I know the right person." They'll call you tomorrow, and you never know.
That's just it. And most people are afraid to put it out there, because they don't want that rejection. But you would be surprised at how many opportunities you could make for yourself instead of just sitting around waiting for things to fall in your lap.
I mean, I've been rejected for all kinds of stuff my whole life.
Right.
It still sucks. But the stuff you get from it is awesome, whether it's a date or a job opportunity or anything. But kind of in closing, I just want to say that it comes from my heart. The cooking comes from my soul, and the interactions are everything to me. If anybody has a question about cooking or what I do, they can go to chefegg.com. My email is egg@chefegg.com. If you have a cooking question, reach out. I'm always here. I said that to your class, and I say it to every one of my groups. And sometimes people reach out, and sometimes they don't. But I don't want you to not cook something because you didn't have an answer, or you didn't have a specific recipe, or you didn't have this little bit of information to help you make something great. So like people have helped me. I'm here to help. And Instagram and Facebook @Chef Egg, and anytime you want me back, you just reach out.
Oh, brother, we could sit here and talk for hours, man. I've got a big mouth. I humbly appreciate you being on this show, and I cannot tell you what it means to me. And I've got some listeners already that are looking forward to it. I've already kind of spilled the beans a little bit.
Awesome.
Well, listen, you take care. We will stay in touch. I've got
awesome.
your email address and all that. Yeah. And again, brother, thank you for taking your time out to crack that egg for me. I appreciate
You got it. It's my pleasure, Doc. You have a great day.
All right, you too, brother. Thanks.
Looking for that unique, handcrafted, one-of-a-kind gift? Check out Dee's Unique Designs on Facebook. She specializes in custom artistry from paintings to jewelry, coasters to tumblers, and everything in between. That's Dee's Unique Designs on Facebook. Give her your ideas and watch them come to life. Hey everybody, it's Doc from Doc's Boneyard. Hey listen, if you're in the Fayetteville, North Carolina, especially around Fort Bragg, and you're looking for that hard to find military badassery gear, why don't you go see my buddy George at Silverback Military Surplus. He's located just outside the Yadkin Gate, 6477C Yadkin Road. He has a wide variety of patches, hats, tactical gear, you name it. Tell him Doc sent you.